Listen to me closely because I am about to dismantle the entire architectural lie that you've built your life around. I want you to look out the window right now. If you see a perfectly manicured lawn, a white picket fence, and a neighbor named Steve washing a leased SUV that he cannot afford, then you are in serious trouble. You are sitting in ground zero of the greatest psychological operation ever conducted on the human race. We are going to talk about the suburbs. We are going to talk about that big hollow box you call a home. And we are going to talk about why that house is not your castle. It is your sarcophagus. You think you are winning because you have a kitchen island the size of an aircraft carrier and a guest room that nobody has slept in for 3 years. You are not winning. You are a premium poor person. You are a rat with a slightly larger cage, running on a wheel made of drywall and granite countertops, powered by your own anxiety and a 30-year debt sentence that you signed with a smile on your face. I need you to visualize Sunday morning in a typical upper-middle-class suburb. It is quiet. It is terrifyingly quiet. The only sound is the rhythmic hiss of automatic sprinkler systems spraying water that costs money onto grass that costs money to maintain, just to impress people you do not even like. You walk into your living room with the cathedral ceilings. It echoes. Why does it echo? Because you cannot afford enough furniture to fill it without taking out another loan. You stand there, coffee in hand, looking at your kingdom of debt, and you feel a knot in your stomach. That knot is your intuition screaming at you. It is the primal part of your brain realizing that you have been trapped. You have traded your freedom, your time, and your sanity for square footage. You have bought into the myth that space equals success. But let me tell you what that space actually is. That space is a vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. But the banking system loves it. The banking system loves that empty space because they know you will spend the rest of your miserable working life trying to fill it with cheap dopamine and expensive garbage. You are living in a hallucination. You believe that because you are not living in a cramped apartment, you are financially secure. This is the dissonance. This is the glitch in the matrix. The reality is that the guy in the cramped apartment who invests 50% of his income and owns his time is infinitely richer than you are in your 4,000 square foot mausoleum. You are what I call house poor. Actually, let's be more precise. You are lifestyle obese. You are bloated with liabilities that masquerade as assets. And today, right now, we are going to perform surgery. We are going to cut open this suburban dream and show you the rotting habits inside. We are going to look at 5 specific habits of poor people who live in big houses. And if you see yourself in this list, do not turn this off. You stay here and you take the pain. Because the pain is the only thing that is going to wake you up from this coma. Let's start with the first habit, which is the addiction to the forever home fallacy. Before you have earned the right to rest, you bought the house at the absolute maximum limit of your pre-approval letter. This is the cardinal sin of the suburban rat. You went to the bank, and the bank officer, who is a drug dealer in a cheap suit, told you that you qualify for a mortgage of $750,000. And what did you do? Did you say, no, that is insanity. I will buy something for $300,000 and invest the difference? No, you behaved like a good little consumer. You behaved like cattle. You said, well, if the bank says I can afford it, I must be able to afford it. You maxed out. You bought the house that requires 2 incomes to support. You bought the house that requires you to work 60 hours a week just to keep the lights on. You put yourself in a position of zero leverage. Let's do the napkin math on this, and I want you to listen to these numbers written out because they should terrify you. Let's say you take out a $600,000 mortgage at 7% interest over 30 years. Do you know how much you actually pay back? You do not pay back $600,000. You pay back $1,437,000. You are paying over $800,000 just in interest. You bought the house for yourself, and then you bought 2 more houses for the bank. You are working for the bank. The first 10 years of your mortgage payments are almost entirely interest. You are not building equity. You are renting money. You are a tenant to the bank, but unlike a regular tenant, you also have to pay for the new roof when it leaks. You have the worst of both worlds. You have the liability of ownership with the liquidity of a stone. And you think this makes you smart? You think this is an investment? An investment pays you. This house eats you. It eats your cash flow every single month. The second habit of the suburban poor is the curb appeal obsession. This is where the ego really takes the wheel. You spend thousands of dollars a year on landscaping, exterior lighting, seasonal decorations, and repainting the shutters because you are terrified of what the neighbors think. You are terrified of the homeowners association. Let's talk about the HOA for a second. The HOA is the ultimate manifestation of the Matrix. It is a group of people who have volunteered to police each other's mediocrity. They enforce a standard of looking rich that ensures everyone stays poor. You are spending money you do not have to impress people who are also spending money they do not have, so you can all pretend you are not drowning. It is a circle of lies. You put up the inflatable Santa Claus in December, not because you love Christmas, but because the guy next door put up a bigger one, and you cannot bear the thought of losing the status game. This habit bleeds you dry by 1,000 cuts. $50 here for mulch, $200 there for pressure washing. It adds up to a fortune over a decade. A fortune that should have been in an index fund compounding at 8%, buying your freedom. Instead, it is rotting on your front lawn. Now we move to the third habit, and this one is insidious. It is the empty room syndrome. You bought a house with 5 bedrooms, a formal dining room, a den, and a finished basement. But you are a family of 3. You have rooms in your house that you do not enter for weeks at a time. But here is the habit of the poor mind. You feel the need to furnish them. You look at an empty room and you feel anxiety. The system tells you that an empty room represents failure. So what do? You go to a furniture store that offers 0% financing for 24 months. You sign another contract. You buy a dining set for $5,000 that you will use twice a year at Thanksgiving and Christmas. You buy a leather sectional for the basement that nobody sits on because you are all upstairs on your phones. You are financing dust collectors. You are paying interest on furniture that loses 70% of its value the moment it enters your house. This is peak consumer stupidity. You are renting a lifestyle to fill a void in a house you do not own. A wealthy person looks at an empty room and sees potential, or they simply do not buy a house with rooms they do not need. The premium poor person sees an empty room as a challenge to their credit card limit. The fourth habit is the commuter's justification. This is where you lie to yourself about the value of your time. You moved to the big house in the suburbs because you wanted more for your money. But the house is 45 minutes away from your job. That is an hour and a half every day in the car. That is 7.5 hours a week. That is 375 hours a year. That is 9 working weeks a year sitting in traffic. You are trading nearly 2.5 months of work time every year just to sit in a metal box so you can sleep in a larger wooden box. And you tell yourself, It's worth it for the school district. Is it? Is it really? Or are you just scared to live smaller? You are burning gas, you are putting wear and tear on your vehicle, and most importantly, you are burning the only asset you can never get back, which is your time. You arrive home exhausted, stressed, and angry. You scream at your kids because you have spent an hour fighting gridlock. You are not present. You are a zombie. And you did this to yourself because you thought a 3-car garage would make you happy. The math does not work. If you calculated your hourly wage and applied it to your commute, that big house is costing you tens of thousands of dollars more than the sticker price. The fifth habit, and perhaps the most dangerous of all, is the home equity piggy bank. This is the habit that wipes people out. You see your house value go up on Zillow, you think, wow, I am rich. I have $200,000 in equity. So what do the suburban poor do? They get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. They borrow against their house to fund their lifestyle. They take that equity and they use it to buy a boat, or to go on a Disney cruise, or to renovate the kitchen that was perfectly fine but looked dated. They treat their home like an ATM machine. This is suicidal financial behavior. You are stripping the wealth out of your home and replacing it with more debt. You are resetting the clock on your financial freedom. When the market turns, and it always turns, you will be underwater. You will owe more than the house is worth. This is how people lose everything. They mistake appreciation for income. They mistake paper gains for realized wealth. You are eating your own tail. You are cannibalizing your future safety to pay for present-day luxury. You need to understand that the system is designed to keep you in this house. The banks, the real estate agents, the furniture stores, the car dealerships, they all rely on you being a suburban zombie. They need you to care about the Joneses. They need you to feel inadequate if your countertops are granite instead of quartz. They need you to be exhausted so you don't have the energy to question why you are doing this. They want you to be a premium poor. You look successful. You drive a nice car. You live in a nice zip code. But if you missed 2 paychecks, you would be on the street. That is not success. That is precariousness dressed up in designer clothes. That is a golden cage. So, how do we get out? How do we kill the rat and birth the sovereign individual? You have to make the hard choice. The choice that will make your mother-in-law whisper about you at family gatherings. The choice that will make your friends look at you with confusion. You have to downsize. You have to opt out of the competition. Maybe you sell the big house. Maybe you move closer to work in a smaller place. Maybe you rent for a while and take that equity and put it into real assets that actually pay you. Stocks, bonds, businesses, real estate that you rent to other people. You have to stop valuing square footage and start valuing freedom. You have to stop caring about the opinion of Steve next door. Steve is broke. Steve is on antidepressants. Steve hates his life. Why are you trying to impress Steve? You need to embrace the concept of strategic minimalism. I am not telling you to live in a shoebox forever. I am telling you to live in a shoebox until you are so rich that buying the mansion creates no dent in your finances. You buy the luxury only when the passive income from your assets can pay for it without you lifting a finger. Until then, you are a soldier. You are at war. And in war, you do not build a palace on the front lines. You dig a foxhole, you survive, and you advance. This is about sovereignty. It is about waking up in the morning and not having that knot in your stomach. It is about looking at your bank account and seeing cash, not just a credit score. The credit score is a leash. The cash is a key. The system wants you chasing the score. I want you chasing the cash. So here is your mission. I want you to walk through your house today. Walk through every room. Look at every object. Ask yourself, did I buy this because I needed it? Or did I buy it to feed the ego? Is this room serving me? Or am I serving this room? Do the math on your commute. Do the math on your interest payments. Get angry. I want you to get furious. Use that anger. That anger is fuel. Stop being a premium poor. Stop being a high-income slave. If you are ready to burn the script and rewrite your life, I want you to leave a comment below. I want you to write 2 words, cardboard castle. That is the code. That tells me you see the suburbs for what they are. Flimsy fortresses of debt. Write cardboard castle. And let's see who is actually awake and who is just sleepwalking through the open house. Kill the rat inside you. Do it today.